Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'd like to take a look at a bunch of new fun cards from the set Mask of Change, which will be put into our May set Twilight Masquerade. And why I wanted to do like a more casual video, just looking at some more fun cards, I guess, is because I've noticed when a lot of content creators, and I'm guilty of doing this, fair enough, I do this all the time as well, is it can be very easy to just focus on the very best cards from a set when you're doing a set review. Like you kind of hone in on one or two cards that are really good. And that can kind of leave you without steam to talk about everything, basically. And, without recording multiple videos and all the rest of it. So I just wanted to do a video basically where I take a look at a bunch of fun cards, which I might not spend as much time on usually in a set review, but, I just wanted to talk about them in this one. So give them a bit of a voice, I guess. This stuff isn't like strictly broken or anything. That's not the point of the video. It's just to look at a bunch of fun cards that you could play in decks, in theory at least. I'm not going to get into the whole debate of what's playable, what's viable, what's competitive. I mean, if you want something competitive, just go play Charizard, please. Just go away, go play Charizard. This video is exclusively for the little guys and looking for fun decks. So yeah. So the first bunch of reveals, we've got a Rev Room and a Farfetched that were revealed pretty earlier on today. We have this Rev Room with the attack Rally Back. When we've seen these kind of attacks before in the Pokemon TCG, for a single colorless energy, it does 30 damage, and if anything was KO'd during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 90 more damage. So my problem with this guy doing 120 is we've seen a Lucario, I believe, from Scarlet and Violet base set, that for a single fighting energy, did the same attack, but it did 150 because it specified a fighting type Pokemon. And I kind of wish this Rev Room had specified a metal Pokemon to do 150. I think that would have been quite cool. But either way, I don't think this card is terrible in GLC. I should also mention the second attack. For metal double colors, running charge says flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 100 damage for each heads. So if you're able to flip at least 2 heads, now with a Defiance Band or a Maximum Belt, you'll be able to KO quite a lot of the basic EX Pokemon, which is very fun. Now, if you get 3 heads, you'll be able to KO any V-Star, which is very cool. And if you somehow get 4 heads, and you get very lucky, you'll be able to KO with Charizard, which is quite funny. You do 400 damage. So yeah, a very fun card. Of course, we need stuff like Glimwood Tangle, Flip Teeny back, the Victinis that let you reflip coins. That'd be very helpful. But you can use reverse energy, so you don't have to just rely on double turbo. But yeah, the coin flip aspect is a little bit annoying with this Rev Room, but still, I think this could be a lot of fun, honestly. I mean, it does have to compete after in GLC with the Rev Room that lets you draw until you have 6 cards in hand. But, I still don't think this card is terrible by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, seems pretty cool. Then we have a Farfetched, which has got a very interesting artwork going on here. And some very interesting ability and attacks, really. The ability Sonic Duty says when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for a tool card and attach it to Farfetched, then shuffle your deck. And then the attack, which you'd think would interact with tool cards, just does 30 damage for 1 colorless energy, and then you get to discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. So a very interesting, slightly bizarre card. Like, I do appreciate the fact that Farfetched is always interacting with tool cards, usually, in the TCG. I think that's a very fun consistency thing, like, going on with the card design. However, I'm kind of puzzled by this card more than anything. Like, I would have thought the attack would reflect on the ability in some way. And what tool would you get is the next question, I'm struggling to think of a tool card that would be really good here, because Maximum Belt, isn't going to be buffing your damage enough. And you can't really take advantage of weakness because you're a colorless Pokemon. So yeah, it's a pretty bizarre card, honestly. It's one of those things where if they ever released a tool card that was maybe just doing a modified version of, well, I guess what I'm thinking of is like a choice band reprint or something for Pokemon EX, and maybe it'd be alright. But even then, 60 damage doesn't feel like a whole ton of damage. Yeah, it's an interesting card. I'm kind of puzzled on this one. Maybe there'll be a really good tool card in the set that we haven't actually seen yet, because there should be some cards that haven't been revealed. So, yeah, Farfetched. A very interesting card. Rather bizarre. Not sure if it's good enough for GLC, but you could play it in GLC, to be fair. It's just one of those cards that you look at it and go, this feels like it has some potential somewhere, but I don't know what for yet. Yeah, cool. Then yesterday we had a Brute Banet and Iron Bundle revealed for Mask of Change. Iron Bundle with the attack Interjet, being a future Pokemon by the way. For Watercolors, does 60 damage, and then you get to switch this Pokemon with one of your benched. If you do, switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench, but your opponent chooses the new active Pokemon. So this is like a very hit and run style card. You can also give this thing free retreat with the future capsules, which is very nice because it means if you want to play multiple of these, then you can use them as pivots, which is quite cool. You could use the Iron Crown to modify your damage by plus 20, or you could just focus on single prize archetypes and use like Mimikyu walls and stuff. That could be quite cool. There's even the what's it called? Iron Thorns EX, I believe it is. It says when it's in the active spot, Roblox Pokemon don't have abilities. So like you could switch into that maybe for some disruption. My only concern is that you're not really doing a whole ton of damage, but then again, Crobat was a VMAX and only did like 80 base or something, 70 with poison. So yeah, I think this card could be pretty cool. I don't think it's like great by any stretch of imagination, but still quite fun. I'm also like trying to think of what are the other future water types in GLC. I'm like trying to think if it's just Iron Bundle, if there's any others, because yeah, maybe in like a hit and run deck in GLC, this could be quite cool. And you can still run Future Capsule if you really wanted to. So yeah, seems like a pretty cool card overall. Then we get to my personal favorite of the bunch so far, this Brute Banet, which is a dark type, 120 HP, so very similar stats to the other Brute Banet that was released rather, in Paradox Rift. First attack just poisons your opponent's active Pokemon, not particularly great. However, the second attack, Rattling Strike, for 3 Dark Energy, does 50 damage, and then 50 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So honestly, I wonder if this is ever worth it in the Ancient Box deck, funnily enough, because yeah, you need 3 Dark Energy, so you're going to have to use like Dark Patch, EXP shares, stuff like that probably, in conjunction with Professor Sada. But still, it's quite a high modifier to be working with, especially when like Koraidon can quite easily poke for like 90 damage. You've also got that, what's it called? Sandy Shocks, I want to say. The single price Sandy Shocks that can do like 90 damage for a single energy, as long as you have at least 3 energy in play or something. I'm not sure that specifies basic fighting energy though. It might specify basic fighting. It would suck if it did, because that could be quite a cool pairing. Like you do, well, you just power this guy up mainly, and then you swing for like 90 damage with Sandy Shocks and then finish something off with this guy. Could be quite cool. I don't know. It just seems like a much easier 2-hit kill than most of Ancient Box sometimes. But yeah, I think this card could be quite cool actually. Seems quite fun. But yeah, the main problem, of course, is just like accelerating the Dark Energy, but it's still pretty cool. It's also worth mentioning, actually, there is a... Ooh, what's it called? Monkey Dory, I want to say. It's the... Yeah, it's one of the monkeys. And it says once your turn, if it has a Dark Energy attached to it, you can move 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is quite scary with this, because then at that point, you're doing 200 damage. And assuming you're able to, get multiple of those monkeys down or do it across 2 turns, then yeah, you could definitely set up some 1-hit KOs, which is quite cool. So definitely some fun combos with this card for sure. Seems quite cool. Then we get to probably the worst card in these reveals. I know I'm like trying to focus on silly like GLC more fun stuff really, but this on Flora it's very on the nose, shall we say. So for single grass energy, Sunshine Return does 60 damage for each Fire Energy card attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So 3 guesses what this was printed to deal with. Yeah, I don't think this is a very good Charizard counter, funnily enough, because most Charizard players can either attack with Entei or just sit there with 2 energy on a Charizard and then you're not even getting a 1-hit KO, which is quite funny. Like, I know you could get modifiers involved to get a 1-hit KO, but even then, it's a bit of a weird counter. I still think it's quite a funny one, though, and in like a luminous scissor box or something, I think it'd be quite funny just to try out a 1-1 line of this, just to, catch a Charizard player off guard that was careless enough to put, loads of energy in play. Because they only need 3 energy in play for you to get a 1-hit KO, so it could be funny as a tech, right? It's just a silly image of some Flora showing up on the battlefield to KO Charizard in a single hit. It's funny, right? It's a funny thing, but yeah, it's not like competitive, but it is quite funny. So yeah, I like some Flora though. It's cool. Then we get to Chandelier. So someone in the design team definitely likes Chandelier because it's featured a lot. I would not be surprised if we get a Chandelier EX at this point, really, because it's just been, it's been so prevalent really in the TCG lately. So yeah, definitely seems to be popular. Sadly, the basic, the basic does find you another basic Pokemon, which is quite cool, but no more helpful abilities, sadly, which is a bit of a shame. However, this Chandelier is really cool. It has the ability Inviting Light that says once in your turn, you may use this ability. Each player draws a card, which sounds not very good because you have to give your opponent cards as well as you drawing cards. However, your attack does 30 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. So, assuming you play like a judge, right? Like, say you play a judge and then you play a Chandelier. That's not bad. Like, that's not terrible damage. What's that? 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. Yeah, is that correct? Yeah. That's not terrible damage, honestly, for a single prize stage 2. Now, it is a bit awkward because most of the time you're probably not going to get a one-hit KO on Pokemon, and then at that point it's like, oof, that's a bit awkward because you're a single prize stage 2. You can like attack with other things. You got NTV probably in the deck. You could attack with a Cramorant or something. Like, obviously, if someone wants to say, "Oh, that sounds terrible," just play like Charizard or whatever. Like, I'm just looking for ways to play this Chandelier, right? I'm not just thinking of something is better, therefore this is terrible. I don't like that mindset when I'm looking at cards. I'm like trying to think of ways to play this card. Even if it's worse than stuff we already have, I still think this could be a very fun deck. And that's all that matters really at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think this card could be a lot of fun. It's probably unrealistic to say you'll get multiple of these out in play because I've seen some people suggesting, oh, like maybe you could have 3 or 4 in play and then draw 4 cards and like force the opponent to draw 4. Like that sounds really cool in theory, but I'm not sure how you would ever get that many in play, especially when they only have 130 HP. But just food for thought, I guess. But yeah, some very cool reveals overall. Farfetched remains a bit of a mystery to me, but I'm sure we'll see some kind of uses for it. But yeah, it's been Power. Thank you for watching this different style of video. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future with more card reveals, just food for thought. Of course, I'll still review these cards when they come around in the set review, but still, I just wanted to highlight some cards that I thought were quite fun. So yeah, it's been Power, and yeah, thank you for watching.